welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Area. This week we're going to start talking about the Eclipse again. It's been quite a while. It hasn't been on the channel in months, I would say, and most of that's because nothing new has been going on with it. My daughter did put it in a couple of car shows this year. She did win a couple of awards. She's been driving it to school. She's been commuting around in it. She has her own little business, and so she uses it for that a little bit. But really, for the most part, there's not been any update because there hasn't been anything new. Well, big change in my household. She's made I'll call it an adult decision, but the long and short of it is she's thinking of selling it. So what does that look like? Because that was never going to be my plan for it. I kind of always, if I could go back in time, and I told her this, if I could go back in time and buy back my very first car, it was nothing special. Like, this is way cooler than my very first car, but there's something sentimental about learning to drive on a car. Mine was also a manual. I had a 1983 S10 Blazer and I modified it. I mean, it was four-wheel drive, but I still lowered it. I put big wheels on it. I painted it, tinted it, put a fat sound system in it, reupholstered the interior, like put a sunroof in it. It was extensive. And it was one of those things that I always thought, like, man, if I could ever find it, if I could ever locate the guy who bought it from me, if I could buy it from the guy that bought it from me, I might do that. You know what I mean? And so I have mixed feelings, but again, I think it's a mature decision that she's making because this thing is real low, right? And we get snow here. It's gonna snow, not in the forecast, but like in the next couple of months. And so she's got the foresight to know that she's gonna have to commute in, whatever weather with this. And, it pains me because she's not in a position where she can afford a second car. Honestly, we don't really have the space to store a second car. And I mean, I think it's everything that she's wanted, and really she's done everything she wanted to it. She's owned it, so I think that was like the big check mark, right? She's always wanted this particular car, and now she's had it. She's ready to move on to the next. And so again, while like I have my personal opinions about it, I think she is making a mature decision and is looking at several different things, but whatever she ends up with is going to be all-wheel drive and a little higher off the ground. So, I've encouraged her to look at Subarus. She wants to look at like BMWs and Audis, the all-wheel drive ones. She still wants something cool, and she still wants to modify it a little bit. And she's thinking about, whatever it is, wrapping it purple again. She wants to be the purple car girl, and that's fine. Like, that's totally her thing, and that's great. But she's come to the realization that this car, while cool and fun and really not that fast, but as cool as it is, it's not all that practical. So as awesome as it is, as awesome as it looks, she's made the decision. So now this is where we're going with this is value to actual listing price. Now here, I'm just gonna I'm wandering around a little bit, sorry. But I'll tell you guys. So I put her car into Kelley Blue Book, and she only has 106, almost 107,000 miles on it. It's a 1999. So super low miles for a 26-plus-year-old car. It's certainly not perfect. I mean, if you walk her, it's definitely a 10-footer. From here, it looks amazing. But if you really get up close, you can see every little flaw, you can see every little issue. And, she and I know that. We actually just spent some time outside washing it before it got dark. And, I made that comment to her. I was like, Emma, wow, this paint has not held up really all that well. There's a few spots that need touched up, but unless you're like within a couple inches of those particular spots, you'd never know. So driving down the road, it looks amazing. And at car shows, unless someone is like literally inches away, it looks cool. It's a great looking car. So I put it in Kelley Blue Book, and I'm gonna post it right here, but basically what the car Blue Book's for is anywhere between $1,800 and $3,600, even with the low miles, even being a 1999. Really, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. Now, when I bought this car, if you guys remember, I paid $5,500 for it, and it was already purple, but it didn't have the hood. It didn't have, like, the bumper wasn't on it. The body kit wasn't even on it. You know, no wing, no buckets, you know, the wheels were on there, but they were nasty looking and black. And anyway, we put a lot of time, effort, and money into the car. I did the math, and I paid $5,500 for it. And then what we did to it was another like $3,700, bringing my grand total to like $9,200 and change. If I added taxes, licensing, you know, license plates, registration, all that stuff, it's closer to $9,500. We also did an oil change, you know, little random things that I didn't include in my checklist. But basically I'm like $9,500 into this car, and Kelley Blue Book is telling me that it's only worth $3,600 on the high end. So what does that mean, right? I started looking online. I couldn't find a single Eclipse under $3,000, and some of them didn't run. Some of them barely had paint left on them. Some of them's interiors were totally gutted. They need like a literal restoration. And a car that's 25, 26 years old can go through a restoration. It's not common, but at the same time, it's definitely old enough that you could go from bumper to bumper and restore a car. It's not just the 60s and 70s cars that are getting restored anymore. People are restoring 80s and 90s vehicles now. So then you start looking at, okay, well, what are the competitors selling for? Well, I looked on eBay, and currently you guys can go look. On eBay today is a direct replica of Paul Walker's Eclipse in Fast and Furious, the original movie, the green Eclipse, you know, very similar, very, essentially the car, right? It's a GSX, so it's all-wheel drive. Same body kit, correct seats, correct wing, carbon, you know, all the things, right? All the bits. It's literally a replica of the movie car. They want $55,000 for it. Well, if I blue book that car, now it's a GSX, so it's a little better than the GS with a turbo, but the GSX, you know what? It's probably still only like $7,000 blue book, and they're asking 55. Obviously, it's been through a full restoration. It's heavily, heavily modified. You know, this car does have a turbo. Blue Book doesn't account for that. This car does have a lot of aftermarket parts. Blue Book doesn't account for that. And if I'm being fair, none of those things generally add value, right? A lot of the time you buy a car, you modify it, it's always just worth Blue Book because that's the market for that car. This car, I would say, is no different than actually either of these two cars. They're much more specialty. You're not gonna see them all the places. You're not gonna run into them often. When you see them and they're done nicely, they do command a premium. So really looking at the peers, if you will, the competitors out there, other cars that are similar, we really couldn't find too many. There's very few out there that have, you know, this particular look to it, unless they're lime green and have Paul Walker-ish stuff all over them. So we were kind of at a loss as to how to price it. But again, I needed $9,500 to break even. She's looking at cars in that range. But again, she's looking at all-wheel drive cars. So what I did was I put it on Facebook Marketplace and I listed it for $12,500. I don't know if that's high. I don't know if that's low. In my mind, I feel like that's pretty accurate because when I bought the car, I paid $5,500. He was asking, I want to say $6,500. And, you know, then we put a bunch of money into it. But when I bought it, I was looking at what things were selling for, and it by a long shot was the nicest car out there in that range. There were some really crappy ones for $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000, and some really nice ones for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. We kind of found one right in the middle, and again, she liked this one because of its color. So we made it work and then built it into what she wanted. I think that's pretty cool. And again, for a first car, like, dang. But all that to say, now we're pricing it at $12,500, thinking that, okay, we'll get our money out of it and we'll just roll those dollars right into the next car for her. She does want, you know, again, to customize it a little bit and make it her own. So whatever money's left over, maybe she wraps it or maybe she buys wheels, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know what that's gonna look like. But for now, we listed it for $12,500. Well, immediately she has, I'll call it seller's remorse, but it's not. She goes, Dad, I think $12,500 might be a little high. Like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. So I immediately lower it to $11,500. like minutes afterwards. And so I tell her, I'm like, actually that kind of works to our advantage because it looks like we're motivated to sell it. Like we're actively trying to sell it because it said 12.5 / 11.5 new price on Facebook Marketplace. And you guys can go on Facebook Marketplace if you wanted to, and you could find it. It's on there right now. So all that to say, had tons of interest, absolutely tons of interest. And in there, I was really transparent. I said, the car's not perfect. It's far from it. There's nicks and scrapes and scratches and, flaws in the paint. And, it's essentially a 10-footer, but from 10 feet, it sure looks like a showstopper, right? It's really a cool car. Well, I started getting people, is this available? Within moments, minutes of listing it. I'm getting messages left and right. And I did get one from a guy who's 5 hours away, and he literally asked 2 questions, I think, and then said, cool, I'm coming to get it tomorrow. I have cash in hand. He offered me a little bit less than my 11.5. We'll see what he says when he gets here. But, I'm trying to be cautious because he's coming so far. Last thing I want is to waste his time. I don't need him pissed off at me like he comes all this way and then gets mad about, oh, there's a scratch here or this isn't there and whatever. I don't need that in my life. So I'm trying to be proactive and tell him, hey, this is wrong with the car. You're gonna need to do this. This is what you're gonna wanna do next. And he's a man of few words. Basically, he's 5 hours away. He repeatedly said, I'm leaving at 4 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be there. And then at one point, he even sent me a picture of cash in his hand. Be there, leaving at 4 a.m. So I'm like, cool, okay. He's gonna be here tomorrow morning at 9 is my guess. He's about 5 hours away. So I told him to keep in touch. Let me know in the morning when he's on his way, when he's getting close. Again, we did kind of clean out the car, pulled out her personal belongings that she wanted to keep. Everything else, the sub, the amp, that's all staying there. Obviously the seats, the hood, wing, all that stuff staying on the car. None of it's going back to stock. What you see is what you get. And ultimately her plan is to find a GSX and build this exact same car. She wants a purple Eclipse. She wants it to be Fast and Furious out. She wants underglow and racing buckets and the whole 9 yards, but she wants it in a GSX. And quite frankly, I'm all for that. I think it's just finding the right GSX at the right price and then going from there. So I'm kind of, the more I'm dealing with this, the more I'm thinking about it, the more it's kind of like working through I'm sad because again, this was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Super fun car. It's been amazing. And it gets tons of looks. People stop in front of my house all the time and they're looking at it and taking pictures of it, driving around town in it, it gets looks. It's just a fun car. But her ultimate goal is to get into something safer and all-wheel drive for a while. Then maybe later when she has a little bit of disposable income, buy it and we'll build that together or not. I don't know. We'll see what that happens. But that's kind of the plan. And so I wanted to kind of ask you guys, have you ever had an experience where Blue Book tells you that something is dramatically undervalued, but you're able to sell it for a whole bunch more? It's not rhetorical, but I don't know the answer. I would say that this is a circumstance where, maybe I overpaid for the car. Maybe $5,500 was just way too much. Honestly, I don't think so because there's so few examples out there in the condition that we were able to find it for. Again, clean interior, ran, drove nicely, had some modifications, was local, already painted the color she wanted. It was a really ideal circumstance. I really truly feel like that was meant to be. This was designed to be her first car, but now that she's ready to move on and do something a little bit different, I don't want to hold her back and tell her she can't do it because as a dad, I need her to be safe in the snow. I need her to be safe when the weather is bad. And this car is not going to do it. I think back to my younger days, and there was a time in my life when I was maybe 20. Maybe 20, 21, 22, something like that. Same thing. I had a lowered car that was no good in the snow. It was a front wheel drive car just like this. It would have been fine, but I didn't want to undo my modifications. So I went and bought a beater 4-wheel drive Ford Explorer, like an early 90s, first gen, very early beat up Ford Explorer. Put some nice snow tires on, like off-road snow tires, mud and snow tires on it, and put a little lift on it. Rallied that thing for like 2 or 3 winters. And it was so cool to have just a beater rig I could take camping and whatever out in the woods and just beat up on and not care. And then come home to something like this that's beautiful, sitting in the garage all clean and pristine. And you know, that's in my world perfect. I mean, that's my life today, right? I've got both of these over here, and then I drive my Raptor. The 55 would probably fall somewhere in between because it's certainly far from pristine, but it's still kind of a toy. The Raptor's the daily driver. Well, in her situation, she just doesn't have the money to have a daily driver like that. And she doesn't have a place to store this. We really don't have the room. Not comfortably. We'd always be moving things around. And if there's 2 feet of snow outside, this car's never getting moved. So it just doesn't make sense at this point in our lives to keep the car around, which is unfortunate. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna keep you guys posted. I don't know if the guy's coming in the morning or not. He says he is, and he says he has cash. We will see. But if that happens, I'm gonna post this video, and so really, truly, by the time you see this, the car will be gone. If he doesn't buy it, I might hold this video back for a week or two and still post it after it sells. But nonetheless, that's kind of the plan. And then a follow-up video will be what she buys with the proceeds of this car. And then we'll talk about the plan for that and whatever's gonna go on with that. So that's all I got for you guys this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following the progress on this build. This truly has been a really fun car to have around, and it will be missed. You know, and not every day do you have a car with underglow or it's purple. So again, it'll be missed, but I think we're on to maybe bigger and better things. I don't know, we'll see, to be continued. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment down below. Most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.